Happy Valentine's! Today I'm here with Rachel Boyd, recipe curator for Eating with Erica. We're going to show you a romantic meal that you can create at home. Rachel, tell me a little bit about this recipe this afternoon.
So we're going for approachable glamour today. We are going to be doing the potato gratin, which is the piece de resistance of our meal. We're going to be doing some awesome steaks and some roasted broccoli to go with everything.
I can't wait. Let's get started.
Awesome. Ready to start with potatoes?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we're going to be using a casserole dish to make our gratin, and we are going to be greasing it with a little bit of butter. Now, a nice little trick, especially if you're going to be cooking in front of someone and don't want greasy hands, plastic bag over the hands, grease your pan. So it's very generous. We're using about a tablespoon of butter here. And then when you are done with that, we have this nice broken clove of garlic. We're going to just be rubbing it around, kind of a nice garlic perfume to the dish. Earlier I cut our potatoes. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick. I used a mandolin slicer. If you don't have one of those at home, that's fine. You can just slice them very thinly with your knife. With all of your cooking in general, you want to make sure you layer your flavors. So we're going to do a little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. On this one, you can watch your salt because we're also going to be layering with Parmesan cheese, and that generally has a little bit of a salty kick to it. Each layer is going to have this cheese, salt, pepper, and a little bit of melted butter. Before we put that last layer of cheese on, we've got a cup of heavy cream, and we're just going to pour it over the potatoes and then all of our cheese. We have the potatoes on this baking sheet for 2 reasons. One, in case the cream bubbles over, we want to catch it and then it won't burn in your oven. And we're going to use it for part of our recipe when we're roasting the broccoli. Now that we've assembled our final layer, we're going to put it in a preheated oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. Now we're going to start our next step, which is going to be the sirloin steak. Sprouts has some amazing cuts of meat, and because they have a farmer's market setup, it's always changing. So this time we're using sirloin, but if you head over to the Eating with Erica blog, we'll have some notes on how long to cook different kinds that you can find there. The skillet has been preheated. That nice sizzle lets you know it's hot enough. And then you are just going to leave the steaks alone while they get a sear. For this particular cut of meat, we're going to do about 2 minutes on each side. Once the steak is seared, it's going to release really easily from your cast iron. As you're flipping the steaks, take that time to go ahead and sear around the edges. It just gives everything a nice uniform look. So we've gone about 2 minutes on each side, and these are ready to rest. We're just going to put them over here on the plate, cover them with foil, and they're good until we're ready to plate. We're going to be using black box wine to make our pan sauce, and black box is fantastic because you can use half of it for your sauce, put the cap on it, and drink the rest of it later. This is about 1.5 glasses of red wine, and we're just going to let this bubble and start to reduce. This pan sauce is extremely simple, and you could just stop with the red wine. If you're feeling fancy and happen to have some Dijon mustard in your pantry, I would say go ahead and add a little bit of that, maybe about a tablespoon or so. And I like to go with a little brown sugar myself, maybe about half a teaspoon. And we're just gonna whisk. So everything's out of the oven and off the stove.
Yum.
While the potatoes were cooking, after 15 minutes, we went ahead and added some broccoli that had been tossed in olive oil, salt, and pepper. And everything cooked together on the same tray for another 30 minutes. Start with a little bit of sauce. And again, you get effort points when you're plating this kind of food. We have got our gratin. We're gonna try to do like maybe a nice little line. Take your steak and put it over your sauce.
And voila, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
This is amazing. I'm really excited. Rachel will be sharing the entire recipe down in the link below, and I cannot wait to dig in. Huge thanks to, of course, Rachel for preparing this amazing recipe, and Sprouts providing all the ingredients to make this Valentine's recipe happen. Make sure you visit Sprouts at your local market.